What's up traders, John Howell here, officialjohnhowell.com. In this video, we're going to have a look at the weeklies and also the monthly charts of the ES. Now for the last couple of weeks, I've actually been quite bearish on the markets, and boy have I been wrong. But I've also been saying in the videos I've been saying last week that the markets is also at a lot of support levels. So anyway, so let's get straight into it. Do not place a trade based on what you're seeing in this video today, because trading is risky and it can cause substantial financial loss. There are so many areas you need to become good at to become a good trader. Emotional mastery, chart reading, trading systems, money and trade management. So this video is just educational only to help you become a much better trader. Alright, so within this video, as I was saying before guys, we're going to look at a bigger picture, because I think sometimes we can always, including myself, we can always have a look at the smaller picture and just that's all we're looking at, right? I think it's sometimes important to step back and see what the big picture is actually telling us, and that's the reason why we're going to have a look at the weeklies and the monthlies on the charts, and I think you're going to be quite interested in seeing what's actually happening on those charts. So for me guys, for what I'm looking at here, I'm looking to see what is the bigger picture telling us, because sometimes if you have a look at this, where's my marker? Here it is here. Alright, sometimes guys when we're looking at the charts, right, whatever chart we're trading, just say we're trading a daily chart. Okay, we're trading a daily chart. Well, sometimes that daily chart, right, it's gonna have a lot of movement in there. But then suddenly, if you go out to a weekly chart, now you get a much more clearer picture what's happening, right? And then if you go to a monthly chart, these two time frames here are going to give you a much clearer picture of overall direction than daily charts. Make sense? So now guys, that's the reason why I want to show you in this video today. I want to show you what the weekly charts and monthly charts are telling me and what they're actually saying, what they're actually saying. So anyway guys, let's get into it. Alright traders, so let's get straight into the chart segment, and as I was saying before, I want to look at the bigger picture here, because I think this is sometimes really important to understand. And so what we have here is we have the weekly chart to the left and we have the daily chart to the right, the monthly chart to the right. And you can see here, this is what's happened on the overall monthly chart, which is just crazy, right? If you look at it, in fact, if I just draw a trend line, from the absolute beginning of this chart, which is 75, and I connect this chart up like that, you can see how some people are saying this is where the S&P is likely to go. So anyway, but by looking at this time frame, or looking at this chart here, we can see that we've had this trend line going up through here, and this is the monthly chart. Remember, this is the monthly chart here. So that trend line going up through there. So if the market ever does get down to this trend line, we're likely to find a bit of support. So, but then we have this trend line here, okay? This trend line here, which is on the weekly chart too. And if you extend this trend line up, and you extend it up through there, you can start to see where we're actually at right now. You see that there? So this is not something I'm making up. I'm just going back to the bigger picture and saying what's really going on in this bigger picture here. Okay, so we see this monthly chart here. We can see how, by looking at this, let me bring my trend line drawing tools up here, and we can see how this support through here, this support through here, and we can see how this whole level of resistance support. This is the weekly chart. This is giving us a much clearer picture of what is actually happening in the charts. Okay, so you can see the resistance through there. If I squeeze it up there, you can see it through here. Now if I open up this monthly chart, you can really see it on this monthly chart, that this monthly chart here is definitely, you see how it couldn't close above there, couldn't close above there, couldn't close above there, and then it closed above here. And it couldn't close below, couldn't close below, could not close below, could not close below, could not close below, and then close below. That whole level through there where we are right now as we speak is a double level of long-term major resistance levels. And we will start to get a pullback out of this, okay? It's just inevitable. It will happen. The market won't just keep going up like this. So, and I'll talk more about that on the whiteboard, but you can see this is what's happening on the S&P 500. You can see the double areas of resistance here. Okay, makes sense? So that's the S&P 500. Now look at the Dow Jones. The Dow Jones is very similar, where you can see that this whole level here, it's getting very close to it, but you see if I drew this trend line from here to here, right, this is the top of this trend line through here. This is the monthly chart. So The Dow Jones looks like it may have a little bit more upside to come, but looking at that whole level through there on this monthly chart, and if I just bring up my little box here, we can see that this monthly chart, this whole area through here, is an area where the market's actually had some struggling on the monthly chart. You can see how it struggled to get through there, and then once it broke through this here, it had problems breaking below, problems breaking below, problems breaking below, and then once it broke below, guess where we're at right now. Now the interesting thing is this, is that if I squeeze up this, especially this weekly chart, we'll go to the monthly chart because it's much easier to see. You can see how we connected this low here, we connected this low through here, connected that low through there, and then as the market came up, look where exactly where it came to, right there, bam, and then the market took off. So to me, this is something I wasn't actually even looking at. I'm like, my goodness, how could I miss this? You can see it on the chart, right? You can see it on the monthly chart. You can see how it's running there. So you can see the longer term charts are actually showing you really, really good support levels through here, and that's where the market found support and took off. You know, it was inevitable that it was going to happen, but sometimes, like myself, I can just keep an eye on the daily charts. I'm like, man, I forgot to look at the weekly charts and just take everything off the screen and have a good look at what's actually happening through here. Because it was saying, once it broke past this level, our next stop was actually up the top here. So up we should go, right? But yeah. So anyway, but looking at this weekly chart, we're getting very close to these areas of resistance right now, especially on the Dow Jones. And that's what we're seeing there right now. Now looking at the Russell is very, very different. You can see, again, the weekly chart to the left, and you can see the monthly chart to the right. Now look at that monthly chart. Doesn't that look very, very weak? Like you can see here, right, back in 2014, we just went sideways in the Russell chart, and then we popped to the high side, and then we came back down. So where we are right now in the Russell, you can see how, if I open up this chart a little bit more, you can see how this trend line here, which basically touched there, you can see why the Russell actually rejected, came down, up hit this resistance, and then came back down, and now it's back up here again, and it's struggling. It's not moving higher like the others. Now, if this does start to have 1 or 2 up days into these levels here, it has another 2 or 3% up move. We're gonna now likely be hitting into these areas of long-term resistance, which have been major support levels all the way up. And mark my words, the market will reject it, and we will get a pullback off it. Okay. And so you can see that's what's happening through there. And the same for the Nasdaq as well too. Nasdaq has you can see here the Nasdaq here on the monthly chart, and the same for the weekly chart. But the monthly charts really shows it well. That's the starting point through there. That's where it bounced off through there. And look exactly where it bounced off through there. And this monthly chart through here, it's sort of, you can see on this monthly chart, this is when the market tried to close below it, could not close below it, and then closed below it, and we took off. So now we're getting a move to the high side. Makes sense? And so this high side movement on this monthly chart, we can actually see that this level through here, which is a level of the monthly chart. Don't worry about the weekly chart because it's different. You can see how it's different there, but you can see how the monthly chart there. So we are getting to an area of really, really big resistance here. Okay, so we can see what's happening here on all these monthlies and all these weekly charts. Look at the SPY, same thing as well too. Okay, just very, very similar, obviously, to the S&P. And you can see here once again that if you draw a trend line through there on this monthly chart, this is where this monthly chart. Now remember, this is not a daily chart. Daily chart can have lots of support and resistance levels and all that sort of stuff. But looking at the weekly charts, it's saying, hang on a minute. Now, yes, we had an area of support through here. Okay, and once you can see here on the weekly chart, and this is something that I need to keep remembering myself. You see on the weekly chart, right? It bounced here, bounced here, bounced here, and it could not close below. Look at here. Look at this week here. Closed below, came back down, tested as support, and took off. Well, no wonder it took off, because it just broke past this area of resistance, and now we're area of support, which was a resistance. Now we're likely to free run, right? We're likely to have a free run to the high side. So always, always, always. This is a lesson to, obviously, more of a lesson to myself, to you guys, but I want to share it with you so you guys can keep an eye on that as well too. Sometimes it's important just to go back to a simple black chart, bring up the monthlies, bring up the weeklies, and say, what the hell is going on with this market? Because for me as well too, I'm like, what is really going on with these charts? So now I hope you can see what is really happening with this market, guys, and that's what I can see happening on the charts. So, traders, did you see what's happening on the monthly charts, the weekly charts? That is what I'm seeing on the charts here right now. And that is my caution for this market moving to the high side. Look at the Russell. You know, the Russell, that's really strong on the Russell. You know, the other markets they're almost at new highs. But the Russell, my goodness, that Russell, that won't even go up. That's strong, right? And even if it does go up, look at that major resistance there, right? So yes, we may spend a bit more time to the high side, but I'm telling you now, guys, we are getting ready. We are getting ready for this type of action, okay? We can't even see that, but downside action, okay? Now, I'm not saying a crash. I'm not saying a crash, right? Yes, we may spend another couple of days to the high side, moving back up into those areas of resistance, especially on the Dow Jones. But you saw what you saw on those weekly and monthly charts, right? And based on that, and based on what's happening on the daily chart, where we've just been going up like this, we're due for a pullback. We're hitting overall what we're getting into, overall major resistance levels on the weeklies and monthlies, which are the most important levels anyway, really. So we're due for a pullback, right? So we will start to see, we will start to see over the next week or so a pullback, and it's going to be like probably around about a 50% retracement pullback. So what I mean by that is take the low, take the high, take the 50% level, half that, and that's where it's likely to at least pull back to, and that's what I'm saying there, guys. Looking at the monthly charts, looking at the weekly charts, yes, the daily charts could have spent a bit more time to the high side and keep going up, but those monthly charts and those weekly charts are telling me, and looking at the indicators, looking at everything like that, and looking at the whole picture, are telling me that yes, we could spend a bit more time to the high side, but guess what? The daily charts are overextended. The weeklies and monthlies are saying we're getting into major areas of resistance and we're due for a pullback anyway, so it just makes sense to get ready for a pullback. So I'm saying we are going to get a pullback over the next couple of weeks as I'm doing this video. I'm saying that looking at the daily charts, we're due for a pullback. Yes, we may spend another couple of days to the high side, but we will get a decent pullback soon. And I'm not saying a crash. I'm saying at least just a 50% pullback, and then for it to do whatever it's going to do. But I do say, guys, in November, I need to get new whiteboard markers. In November, there's a lot of things happening. There's a lot of things happening with the, with the treasury bonds and the government debt and stuff like that. There's a lot of things happening with that there. I won't get into that in this video. It's for another video. But there's a lot of things happening in November, and it just makes sense, right? Nothing happens in tandem. Nothing happens for no reason. This market's getting pumped up, so when November comes, and it's all these things about the obviously the treasury bonds getting dumped by China, and the US debt and all that sort of stuff, which they will default on. All those things are coming out in November. Okay, so that to me it just makes sense, right? We're getting pumped up, we're getting primed to move. We're moving to the high side into these areas where things are going to start happening with the treasury bonds. Things are going to start happening with the government debt. Things are happening now in the last couple of months, moving forward this month, okay? So we will start to see a pullback. Well, that's just my opinion anyway. Who knows, it could just keep going up. But that's not how the markets work, and the markets have never done that. Even look at last October, okay? Look at last October. Yes, we spent and we get up, and we kept going up, but after a while going up, we eventually did get a pullback. Right now, if you see in the markets, it's struggling. It really is struggling. We are, especially not struggling. The Russell's struggling. The other markets are moving to the high side. Okay, especially on that Nasdaq, right? It just popped up, gapped open, and then we just had a couple of doji days. Okay, that's not a very bullish sign. So we will get a pullback. Okay, we will get a pullback. And you guys that are saying bullish. I'm bullish as well too now. I think more upside there. I think more upside to come. But I think overall, guys, we're getting into those areas where we will start to see a pullback. A little bit more upside, and then a pullback is likely to come in the markets. That's my opinion anyway, guys. Anyway, guys, I'm out of here. I hope you've enjoyed this. Remember, success can be yours if you go claim it, so step up, take massive action, and yeah, face your fears today.